Well, Donald Trump tariff threats have loomed large over Canadian business and politics for the past several months. The U.S. president has in fact declared Wednesday as Liberation Day, a day when reciprocal tariffs are supposed to kick in. But there's been a very on-again, off-again trend when it comes to tariffs for Canada. So to talk more about the situation now and how businesses are coping, if they are, we're joined live this morning by Sylvain Golsse, National Global Trade Leader at Ernst & Young Canada, EY Canada. Sylvain, appreciate you coming back and talking about this, because I know the kind of busy days you're putting in right now, and this has been months of work here. But what about this on again, off again? He takes a phone call from Premier Ford, he takes a phone call from Mark Carney, and suddenly Canada might be in a little bit better graces here. How are you able to advise clients about this, and how are clients taking this kind of uncertainty?
So very, very tricky. It's read the tea leaves. It's, in a sense, it hasn't really changed since arguably late November, December, in that we still deal with a great deal of uncertainty. So we have announcements, important announcements, we get some rules, we get some guidance. Some of that sticks, some of it doesn't. So back to your question, businesses are monitoring, tracking, they're trying to make decisions, but uncertainty and unknowns wreak havoc, to be very honest.
Right. And we understand, Mark Carney put out a comment after his, conversation with Trump a couple of days ago saying, that they want to look at some sort of new structured trade agreement. I'm sure in your profession, don't we already have that agreement, being the USMCA, the CUSMA, whatever you want to call it? Isn't that sort of the framework that most trade, between countries, at least here, is based on?
Yeah, hard not to be sarcastic. I mean, we thought we did. We do have an agreement, of course. It's binding. There are side letters that deal with certain sectors specifically, and yet doesn't seem to matter very much in the moment. But also true is that the pause we had in early March that was unexpected, that made a connection to the CUSMA. The automotive announcements, tariff announcements last week, refer to interpretation of rules within the CUSMA where non-U.S. materials would be targeted, but U.S. materials, if we can trace them, identify them, trace them, value them, those would be exempt. So it's not a complete disregard, I would say. It's factoring into the conversation in a way it didn't in the fall, but agree, it's not doing what it's supposed to do, what we thought it would do.
So Sylvain, how are your clients adapting, adjusting, or even changing their businesses or business trade models in these uncertain times?
They're doing their very best is, I think, the first answer. They're, some things have been done, moving inventory ahead of certain tariffs that we think are coming through, tweaking supply chains where you can. Some are even moving production. Some are moving some of their operations to the U.S. They're driven or they're motivated not just by the immediate tariff calculation, but maybe because the uncertainty alone is making them think or rethink their business model, and they're now thinking the U.S., they have to move some of their operation to the U.S. The uncertainty alone, the chaos is driving certain decisions. But by and large, companies are still just trying to figure it out. It's a puzzle. They're trying to figure out what are the moves they can make with some confidence, and what is much better. Where do they need to pause still? Where they need to keep waiting for some time before they can make real decisions.
And what you just said there, Sylvain, about companies actually relocating to the U.S., that is kind of Donald Trump's endgame, isn't it? I mean, that sounds like a win for Trump in a way.
I hate to say it, but I'm afraid so. Yeah, there's some of that already. Investment dollars going to the U.S., maybe not coming to Canada. But I think it's also true that we're hearing lots of companies, not so quick to move to the U.S., not so quick to invest in the U.S., just not sure what that would actually, what the results would be. Is that really the best decision? Even that's not clear.
So let me ask you, I started talking about Liberation Day, which is, Donald Trump's term for Wednesday here. How much is that sort of red circled on your calendar, or is it just, it's all uncertainty, it doesn't matter that is specifically one day that he has, highlighted, as it were?
Definitely red circled in my case, and I think most clients, most companies that we work with. But what exactly it yields, that is unknown. I mean, there's been lots and lots of talk, of course. There's lots of things that were announced much earlier that are supposed to maybe come to an end in and around the 2nd. There's other, reciprocal tariffs, most importantly, is where we would first learn maybe officially what some of the things that have been mentioned, some of the threats that have been articulated are maybe going to come through. But I say maybe because we can't be certain.
Wow, it is incredible, the uncertainty right now. Sylvain, appreciate you coming in and sort of helping explain what is happening out there. Thanks for the time again this morning. Thank you very much.